Hey, welcome back.
Yeah, doing it. Thrv community showing up. Let's go.
So, we're here talking. I think this is our third time together
Yeah.
talking on this and talking about the most recent challenge we did. Not really a challenge, but just sort of a way to push ourselves. Did our first Spartan race, 5K.
Yeah. My first, your 1st.
Mm-hmm.
We had a couple people. Yeah, we had a couple of the guys in our group that have done it before.
Yeah.
Did Christian? Did Christian already do one?
He did one, I think, years and years ago in New
Okay.
Jersey. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, shout out to Christian and Brian and Charles. Let's go.
Yep.
Good deal.
Yeah, so it was just a 5K, but none of us knew really what to expect. And the 20 obstacles, 5K, kind of went in a little overconfident, I think, in some regards.
I felt a little cocky going into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't didn't stretch as much as you probably should have.
Right.
Probably a few more ATG split squats to get started.
Right. Yeah, no, we kind of pretty much just like we showed up and I think even Brian said something like, yeah, should we do some stretching first? Like, yeah, and we did couple little bends and
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'm ready.
It was a little warm. It's down in Boca. A little warm. It's probably 10 degrees warmer there than it was here.
Yeah.
It started out with a mile run, which was thinking, it won't be that bad. That was probably the roughest part for me. Obstacles weren't too bad, but it was a different story with being wet and hands are wet. I know I fell on a couple of the hanging things, which I should have did well on,
Yeah.
but I couldn't get a full thumb under grip on some of those bars.
Yeah.
And then the rope climb at the end was just slick. But Charles and Brian had done them before
Yeah.
and seemed to be pretty confident. And I think they both do CrossFit style workouts, HIIT workouts.
Yeah.
So they were kind of like ready to do it to begin with.
Yeah.
But we ran as a group. Didn't push ourselves too hard.
No, I feel like we all had plenty left in the tank, and we did the open, so it was a lot more casual, and
Yeah.
we ended up having to wait in a lot of the obstacles, let other
Yeah.
people go through and stuff like that. Now you said you struggled on the 1 mile run. Now it's funny because like one of our previous talks, we just did 50 miles.
Yep.
So I'm just curious, like, what was your experience there? Like, what got you? What surprised you?
I don't really know what it was. I just didn't have the legs just weren't cranking. And I was kind of like the sort of bird. Like the last time we ran 5 miles together, where my legs just weren't going. And I don't know if that was from the workout previous or just not warming up, or I think I might have been a little dehydrated too. But running between the obstacles after that, I think I was all right.
I had a similar experience.
Yeah, I think it might have just been we weren't warmed up.
Right. And also the cardio. Like, I couldn't believe how hard I was like gasping for air on that 1 mile run. I'm like, this is ridiculous. I'm like judging the hell out of myself too.
Yeah.
Like
But it was, usually we get through an obstacle, wait for the other guys to get through an obstacle. If we had to do a penalty lap, they would wait. But even though we were waiting, we all kept moving. And you could definitely tell times where, like, I was ready just to walk, somebody else was running, I moved. Somebody, I think Brian made the comment of how he did 10 minutes better than any of his previous times
Right.
doing it with us, right?
Yeah.
And he was no slouch, like, and he's just like, and we still didn't, we got to the out of it, at the end of it, like, we didn't leave it all out there on the grass. Like,
Yeah.
we definitely had more left in the tank. And I think some of it was just like we were kind of gauging it, but it'd be really interesting to see how we would do if we just went, all right, we're all going, we're going to try to run as a group, but we're just going to gasp when we get done. Like, I want to feel like we're going to throw up by the time we get done.
Right.
How that would turn out.
show up for one of the early morning
Yeah.
heats. So it's more of the competitive
Yeah.
thing. So people are actually moving through
Yep.
the obstacles. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I think it's almost worth kind of capturing. I mean, like, even why we're having this conversation is because I guess, we're just, regular guys trying to figure things out, and like actually having this conversation. This is our first time ever doing a Spartan race. This is our experience. And I feel like that's valuable. Like, I would have loved to stumble across this conversation before
Yeah.
I went and
Oh,
had
yeah.
somebody else put it out there. So
What to expect, what you're going to see. Yeah.
not in any technical details. We're not getting into any of that, like as far as going up obstacles. But similar to what you said, I kind of experienced the same thing. Now, I did make it through all the obstacles, But again, I felt really cocky going into them, and I almost didn't make a couple. And one of the thoughts I had, in the perfect conditions, would have been no problem.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have batted an eye. And then it got me thinking about life in general. Life does not give us perfect conditions. So
No.
I kind of appreciated that. I really had to fight for it, and I really had to struggle that otherwise would have been very easy and accessible. And I was actually surprised I made it through a couple of them. I thought I was going to fail because plastic rings were wet.
Yeah.
So I couldn't hold on with one hand. I had to grab with two hands, and I had to switch, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Whereas, I probably just would have monkeyed right through it if conditions were perfect.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was interesting, Christian, with the rope climb at the end. We were all like, yeah, we're going to do it with no legs. And then you couldn't get a grip on the rope.
Yeah.
And he was like, his shoulder started hurting. He's like, I'm just going to take the penalty lap. Started the penalty lap. And I was like, I tried to go only hands because that's well within my wheelhouse. Couldn't get a grip, slipped. And then even when I remembered how to do the feet, I was slipping on that.
Yeah.
And that was when I was able to push through, but it was the rings, it was the hang work. Something I should be really good at. Like I train, and that's kind of it was a little ego bruising in a way.
Yeah.
But it was also like, all right, you're not as good as you think you are, and that was kind of humbling in that way as well.
Yeah.
So
and we do a lot of hanging based training work, and you did a lot more, before we started training together. So
it's like, don't go over sure of yourself going into any of those things. Yeah. But I mean, so we talked a little bit about the mini crucibles, which I need to rebrand. But I asked you this before: what was harder, the Spartan race or the mini crucibles?
Oh, it's the mini crucible. Yeah.
So
those were hard.
We'll have to get one of those coming up soon. So
yeah. I liked because the Spartan races are huge. They're massive. Yeah. I mean, there's thousands of people going through those races throughout the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just saw the stats like, wow, I don't know, like 4,000 people went through.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. And that's, so, there is kind of a cool kind of a party. Not that it's a party, but it's kind of a party. Let's do hard shit and make a party out of it.
Well, you get a lot of the same kind of minded people too, right? The people that are doing hard shit already, and people that are wanting to push themselves. And then even people that weren't in great shape, like the guy we ran with at the end, Chambers.
Yes,
Like he's a little out of shape, and he was just like, "I'm going to do it." And he shows up by himself, and he finds groups to run with it, and he finishes with us, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah, well, he was coming up. He was walking to the end of the extra mile. And I was coming up behind him, and I just kind of just a casual cheered him on because he was walking to the finish line. I was like, "Let's go!" And then he took that as, "Oh shit, I should be running." And so he started running, and we kind of brought it in and crossed the finish line together. Yeah. So that was fun. And you invited him to do the picture with us. And good call. I appreciated that.
Yeah, definitely something we'll have to keep in mind for future. I know there's one in Orlando. I think that's the same week as my gala. So I don't think that'll happen. But I am going in November to do the trifecta weekend.
In Arizona.
Yeah, which is Saturday morning. It's a 21K. I forget how many obstacles in it. It's a lot. And then there's 10K on Sunday morning, followed by a 5K with the open again. Which essentially I'm just going to walk that.
Right.
But it's more, and I think some of the thing I saw with the 5K, what we did, the sprint, was... You got through an obstacle, you were tired, you wanted to walk between obstacles, but you pushed yourself. Yeah. And I think that's going to be the experience in that. It's going to be, all right, I've got 13 and some miles to run. It's okay to run, walk, run, but I'm going to have time where I'm going to be like, I don't want to go up this rope. I don't want to climb up this mountain again. And I'm just going to have to grit my teeth and do it, push through. And I think that's going to be the lesson learned. So it's going to be that sprint times like 30. So for sure.
Yeah, and it just keeps on going. But the quicker you get it done, the quicker it's over, right?
Yeah. What I saw, like the times for the competitive times on the backside, like the slower times, were like in that 4-hour range. So it's essentially the Spartan we did for 4 hours straight.
Right.
So, and there's different obstacles. There's like sled drags and things like that too. So,
it's tough.
Yeah. So it'll be fun though. I'm looking forward to it. And that's definitely something we'll report back on. So, or I'll report back on.
Yeah, and I also like the ideas. We're just getting this thing started, and I like the ideas is as we get some momentum and kind of people find us and figure out what we're doing, that we're going to start building a bigger group. Like our own group and start doing things like savage runs or Spartan runs or Tough Mudders and in along with all the other things we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think the other thing we just started discussing is the Operation 300 Aaron Vaughn 5K, 10K.
Frogman.
Yeah. So that's something we're thinking about. Probably do like a ruck and a run or something. I guess there's a swimming part too we can talk about. But end of June, so I don't know if we'll be able to get this stuff together. But definitely something we can talk about then. And in future, take a look for other 5Ks and do something goofy like the carrying the snake like we wanted to do last year.
Right.
Or the log throughout the whole 5K. It would be a lot of fun.
Right.
It'd definitely be challenging as well. And then you have that whole group aspect to like push each other.
So. Yeah. Push each other, take turns. Yeah. And make sure everybody gets a little rest.
Yeah.
Whatever that is in that situation.
So. But anyway, that was the event. Do you have anything else you want to say about it?
No, I think it was good. I feel like we just kind of stumbled into it. It wasn't like this well thought out thing.
Yeah.
It was like, hey, you want to do a savage run? Yeah, I'll do a savage run, and or a Spartan run. Yeah, and we did it, and I'd say I masochistically loved it. It was great.
Yeah, it was definitely fun. It was not easy, but it wasn't overly challenging.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a good kick in the pants to say, oh yeah, you got to get back to work. So.
Yeah, and got to work in different ways too. It's like not one method of training is not gonna check all the boxes.
Yep.
So.
Oh yeah, definitely cardio.
Yeah.
So, right on. So this is Thrv Community.
Yes, it is.